All righty, Mr. Stephen Dow, I want to thank you. You gave up almost an hour of your time this last Sunday to work with our school community, talking about what you and I have created called the 50-40-10, obviously built on the back of Velocity's 90% CLTV loan. I want to talk about what happened that day. I want to talk about what happened after, because hopefully lots of people reached out to you. But before we get into all that, we have to do the marketing spiel so we don't get in trouble.
Although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel that of my own. So let's get another good one going.
Yeah, so let's kind of revisit what we did on Sunday. We went for an hour. We introduced everybody to the 90% CLTV. We talked about how to configure the loan 50-40-10. We talked about how to identify target rich sellers, perhaps having lots of equity. I also decided to give that video away. It's actually available on YouTube under your playlist. So again, if people wanted to go back and watch that 60 seconds on this 90% CLTV, they should do that, because I think it's going to be the number one tool for real estate investors. 2025 is the year of real estate investors. So I expect a lot of people to get fundamentally good at offering a low cash price and then a higher priced but better payment 90% CLTV or 50-40-10. Let me ask you this question to start us off. What has your emails or phone calls been since that? Did anybody reach out to you, or was it a complete waste of time?
No. In this case, I mean, same day I was getting emails about the 50-40-10. We talk about it, often enough to where I think it's starting to really sink in. And I think the interest in the buyer's side is evident because I get a lot of, inquiries. But I think right now, the real effort should be towards having either listing agents or sellers understand, because in this current market, I mean, all the statistics and metrics are coming out that this is going to be one of the lowest, buyer demand years, in recent memory. So in order to spark interest for buyers or investors, I mean, the combination of seller financing to where the property can cash flow, but at the seller's price, I mean, it's a win-win. It's just now, figuring out some math. But I think it's a great tool because right now, if there's no seller demand because of what they feel is too high of a price, but sellers can't or don't want to budge, this is a good product I think can kind of help meet halfway.
Yeah, you've brought this up a couple of times, and it really didn't hit me till this weekend that I think you're absolutely right. Like if you're a real estate agent, real estate broker, and you have listings that, are 60, 90, 100 days, you're probably getting beat up by your sellers, like what's going on, why is nobody showing up. I think one
Yep.
of the things you should do is figure out their equity position, which you probably
Mm-hmm.
already know. As a good agent, you should already know that, and you should actually broach the subject. Like, would you be interested in carrying back a second, even if it's just 20%? Right, the 50
Right.
40 10 is built on a 40% owner carry, but let's start with 20%, because if you can do a 20% second and give below market interest rates or even delay payments for a set duration, you could delay taxes, you can get your price or get closer to your price. There's only upside. And I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of agents don't realize it's a buyer's market. And in a
Right.
buyer's market, you have to act different. You have to entice buyers to write offers. So I think
I
you're
think they
absolutely right.
know it. I think they know, Mike, because nobody's biting. It's just how do you now combat that, or at least approach that? Because I mean, with no demand, unless you're like starting to give stuff away for free, how do you get them back?
Mhm.
Or rate environment changes. Now it makes it more affordable, or more makes it more sense as far as cash flowing and whatnot. Based upon current financing options as well. So yeah, I think it's a good medium because again, if the seller kind of wants to hold tight on his price, and if the buyer sees the potential, but it's still cash flow from day one based upon the financing that we can structure, I think it's a win-win. It's just looking
Yeah.
at the market and being honest.
Yeah, it's really funny. One of the books that I went out and bought the first edition of was Robert G. Allen's Creative Finance book. I forget the actual title, but it's been out of print for 40 years. The reason I did that is I wanted to go figure out what they were writing in the early 80s. Again, 81, 82 was the last bottom for transactions. And here's the deal. It was all creative financing, right? You got to remember back then rates were 18%, not 7,
Right.
and nobody could cash flow a property. So you had a lot of sellers take back seconds. It was very, very common. You also
Right.
had a lot of sellers delay seconds. So, I mean, in the book, it talks about plenty of sellers taking 5-year balloons, 0 payment,
Mm-hmm.
0 interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just needed to get out.
Right.
So I think this 50-40-10 is a far better option. It is the win-win transaction. And that's the only deals that are going to get done in 2025 is when the buyers and sellers could figure out, how do we make this good for both of us? It's not a seller's market. It's an absolutely a buyer's market now. And I think you're right. Real estate agents need to skill up because, again, you don't get paid until you sell something.
Right.
So if you got listings 100 days, 200 days, you're spending money with no return. Go
Right.
get creative. Go say, hey, will you take back a small second and see what happens?
Again, that particular option may not fit every scenario,
Of
given
course.
maybe the seller's needs. And so yeah, it's just having those real talks with the seller. Hey, here's the situation. What's the bare minimum that we could potentially work with for now, given this current market? If you truly do want to sell now, otherwise we got to wait it out, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But given the current market, excuse me, this is a good kind of at least an option. I mean, again, it can't fit every narrative, but if the seller can kind of, not need all the proceeds from the sale of the property and can withstand a little bit of time to get the rest of it, we can kind of structure something.
Yeah. So let's just remind people all the things that Velocity Mortgage does for them. Because again, I think it's the year of the investor. Not only do we have this 90% CLTV 50-40-10, but you can do blanket loans or portfolio loans in markets where purchase price might be below 100 grand. You do fix and flip. There's all kinds of things that Velocity Mortgage can help with. Why don't you go ahead and rattle them off?
Well, I mean, if we want to do a quick summary, yes, again, to reiterate, we finance not only 1 to 4 unit non-owner residential, but also mixed use where you have a residential and commercial component, multifamily 5 or more unit apartment buildings, and even straight commercial. As far as on the blanket or portfolio loans, yes, we would actually go down to $50,000 per property. That would be included in the blanket, and so up to a maximum of 75% LTV. Unless the loan amount is going to be above $1 million, then you capped at 70, but still no ratio. So again, that's kind of the niche. No tax return, no peso, no W-2, no DSCR. And then as far as fix and flip, typically, a seasoned flipper, at least one successful flip with an exit in the last 24 months, or if you own at least one rental property, we would still be able to allow you to use that product. But the more successful flips in the last 24 months with exits, the higher the leverage position as far as loan to cost, but anywhere up to a maximum of 90% loan to cost. So minimum 650
there's so much
and
there.
that's still and still no ratio. So not a lot of people, or I should say not a lot of lenders offer the fix and flip. And our product is actually pretty competitive that I've been able to kind of find out in the market, given the right flipper or borrower. So the higher the experience, typically 5 or more, we can get you up to that 90% loan to cost, and the rate's pretty competitive.
Nice.
Little over 10%, but interest only, no prepay. Other than that, that's at a 700 better FICO score, obviously, but 650 is all you need.
There you go. Again, Velocity Mortgages offers a lot of stuff for real estate investors. It is the year of the real estate investor. If somebody wanted to start something or just have a conversation, ask you some questions, what do they do?
Email's the best. Luckily so. This is yesterday was the last day of the month, so took a little bit of a sigh of relief. Got all the things that needed to fund in the month of April that we could. So starting off fresh. So if anybody needs me, today's probably a really good day. Typically by Monday, it starts flooding again, as it should be. So, but there's a lot of business, man. My company is going off right now, Mike. I can't even tell you the record numbers that the company's seeing right now. So that just tells me that there's a lot of opportunity out there,
Year of the investor. The thing that I think is going to happen, and I can't wait till it does, somebody in our community is going to do a 90% CLTV 50-40-10 on a big apartment building. We're going to see somebody over the next year or so take down a 100, 200 unit building with this product because it is that flexible.
No, the word's getting out. I've got other, loan officers that I've been working with for, many, many years now that, understood kind of the concept and then slowly been putting that out of the market. And then obviously that's when they get some, traction, and then it leads back to me. So finally, yes, there are some sellers that are willing to do that because it starts off in the listing alone. You know what I mean? Seller, potential seller financing and then it starts starts with that conversation. Well, hey, instead of 100% financing, how about we do this? And then it goes from there. Okay, well, give me some numbers, and then boom, boom, boom. So there's a lot more moving parts to it. But when we can get those details and then just do those series of math problems, numbers don't lie. You just see, you know,
Yeah.
do rents cover the mortgage payments? Easy peasy, Japanesey. Let's get it going.
There you go. Folks, at the end of the day, remember Stephen Dow gave us an hour of his time on Sunday. Let's thank him for that. He certainly didn't need to do that. The video is available inside school and also on YouTube because we didn't want to hide this stuff. Stephen, you're amazing. Take care.
Thanks, man. You too, brother.